love, light, and blessings. Shamanic Awa Priestess here, and I wanted to make this video today. It's going to be a spirit chat video. I'm going to talk about a couple of things. One of the things I wanted to talk about was something that's been really heavy in my heart. So I love supporting YouTube channels here on YouTube within our community. I always try to watch and comment whenever I get a chance to, and I haven't really been doing that lately. It isn't anything personal. Yes, I'm working a lot and things like that, but it's also because just work. I'm really appreciative of it, but I get a lot of heavy type of readings, especially lately, more than usual. And COVID, the riots after January 6th, and just the types of readings that I do on a daily basis. People come to me, just needing help, and sometimes they're just at a low point. Yes, I do uplifting readings too, but I also work a lot with people that are going through some things, and taking on all that energy on top of our current political climate and the things that were going on recently, and the elections and the drama and the fighting with this side and that side and all this stuff. I just felt like it was taking a toll on me. So I want to always be the best reader, the best spiritual counselor, the best mother, caretaker. And honestly, I've been trying to self-love myself and kind of put that into my spiritual practice because it's important. So for those reasons, I haven't been as active on YouTube. So I want to, kind of let you guys know that, and I'm sorry for that. But that's why I am planning to be more active in the future, but I had to set boundaries, some personal boundaries, because of my mental health. I remember back in September of last year, I started to realize that I had to start putting up some boundaries because all working around the clock and just all the stuff that I do in my personal life was starting to take a mental and emotional and a physical toll on my person. And I was starting to feel drained just from being on social media, and things like that. So I started making videos that were a little bit lighter. Recently, I've made more emotional videos and how I'm feeling and things like that. But there was a time I was making less serious videos because I needed to for mental health reasons. So that's kind of one of the topics of the spirit chat is boundaries. It's just been such a big word so far in the month of January for me, even since November, but really this month in the last couple of weeks. So I might have to do that sometimes, just kind of disconnect, and things like that. Doesn't mean I'm leaving YouTube. It doesn't mean, but not putting so much pressure on myself. If I just don't feel like making a video, or if mentally I just can't handle, being active on YouTube. It's why I'm not on Facebook, because I get that asked a lot, like, oh, do you have Instagram or do you have a Facebook? After 2016, like, Facebook has felt like an unsafe place for me because of politics. And so I really don't go on Facebook. I had a business Facebook. I never really even used it. Don't even have anybody really following me on it, just maybe a few people. So I deactivated those because I haven't gone on them in years. And Instagram, I had, my daughter made one. I never did anything on it. I just never used it, and that's been deactivated. So I find that the social media that I like to promote my services and communicate and contact you guys, not contact you, but keep connected with you guys, what I meant to say, and communicate with you guys with, my favorite form is YouTube. And that takes a lot of time. So I can't be as active on social media because I do have children. Yes, I do have 2 adult children, but I also have a special needs 14-year-old, and he's disabled and things like that, and he's doing remote school, so it takes a lot to help him to get with that, and having to be interactive with him, making sure he's keeping on his assignments, and things like that. And it's really hard when you have a special needs child and the schools are closed and you're not having as much support as you could be having, if he was actually going to a physical school. So that does take up a large part of my days, Monday through Friday. And then I have my daughter who's dyslexic and she needs help. My son's autistic, and he needs help. He's also, technically, intellectually disabled as well, and so he needs a lot of extra help with reading and math and things like that. So, they both have IEP, so I have to give them a lot of attention. I can't just sit them in front of, their tablets and okay, goodbye. Like they need that intense care. It's one of the reasons why I decided not to put them in remote school because my older son, the 14-year-old, he has sensory issues, and him having to put a face mask on in order for him to do hybrid, it like he doesn't like things in his face. So I don't even take him out a lot, to be honest. When we do go out, I do put a face mask, but he's getting meltdowns, he's getting tantrums, he doesn't understand. It's emotional for him. It hurts him physically. So I just try not to take him out too much, and that's why his father and I decided not to make him go through all of that. And then my youngest daughter, she's little, like she's 8, and then I'm afraid kids get into stuff, she might not listen because she's 8. And so for our family, it's just not the good decision. I don't want her bringing anything back to us, and things like that. So it is what it is. So when they're not in school in the daytime, I'm doing more readings in the morning. And then when they're in bed, I'm doing readings all the way to 1 o'clock in the morning to get up again to do my morning readings at 6, from 6 to 8, that kind of thing. So, so I had to set those boundaries when it comes to being on social media, because I just, I'm still trying to find a structure. I'm still trying to, and I don't want to eat into my working hours, because I have to make a certain amount of hours a week in readings for me to sustain my family, right? Because this is my main source of income for my family. So that, I was thinking about that, so if I haven't watched your channel for a while, it's not personal. I will be trying to catch up. It's been crazy. Another thing too with boundaries is, I just, even with professional boundaries. So, I do offer phone readings and Skype readings. Some people don't have access to the internet, so that's why I do phone. The phone is not on Duo, Zoom, or nothing like that. I only do Skype. I'm not going to put like a whole bunch of different apps. That's just like way too confusing. So they'll just get a regular, audio reading through the phone. I say it on my website, on the contact form. There's a lot of information there. And I do, when you guys book a reading, I do give you like an email that's customed already, but it explains like my time zone, which is Eastern Standard Time. It explains how to find me on Skype, how to schedule your appointment. It has like everything in it, and it's a long email, and I understand that. And most people read through it and like, oh my goodness, your directions are easy. But then I'll have people that don't, and it'll be the day of the reading. They didn't, add me on Skype yet. So I do try to either call you or email you and things like that. And then for the most part, the people that I do that to, they'll just add me, because I'll try to do it before the appointment in case people forgot. I understand COVID, things go on. But the part that I had to set boundaries for was some people don't even respond at all. And then they'll email me, hey, you didn't show up for the reading. And I always keep records of everything. So I'll show them proof, like I did call you X amount of times on Skype, because maybe they just, and they'll be like, oh, I got confused with the time zone, which, okay, I could understand that. That I let slide, it happens, right? But some people would just be mad, like, oh, can I get a reading now? Like, no, I'm going to the next person. You're going to have to reschedule. And the reason why I only do a 10-minute grace period, I've seen a lot of readers don't even do that, but is because there's literally only a 10-minute space between each of my appointments. And the reason that is because if someone's running like 5 minutes late, things happen, I can still read you. Instead of schedule, I don't want my readings to run into other readings. Or if I have to use the bathroom or wash my hands, or maybe I want to drink of water between readings because I've been talking nonstop for a lot of hours. So, or maybe that person's having trouble logging into their Skype or whatever. So I allow like a 10-minute grace period. Longer than that I cannot do, because again, I have to go on to my next appointment. I'm always booked up solid. Like, that's just knock on wood. So it's not like I have the luxury of, okay, well, you missed your reading, we could read at, no. I have a time that I open my business and a time that I close my business. And for the most part, I'm backed up. I'm have appointments one after the other. I'm not going to be late to somebody's appointment or cancel somebody else's appointment because you were late to your appointment, right? I always send out like an email when you do a reading with me, unless you give like an invalid email, which that's happened before. But if you actually have a valid email, you should be getting an email when you to remind you the day before, hey, wait, you have a reading with such and such for tomorrow. If that's something that happens, the person can email me. They have my email. We could talk about it, not in the comment section. But for the most part, you get an automated email and it'll let you know, hey, you have an appointment. So you get reminder emails as well. And you can always message me too on Skype. Hey, I know we have an appointment, but I don't remember what day it was. That happens sometimes. I would just take a screenshot of it and I'll send it to people. And like I said, if I see that you didn't add me, because I'll try to look when I'm kind of going through my day, like, okay, who do I have for tonight? I'll go and check to see if you're on Skype. And if you're not, then I'll try to call you or message you like, hey, I don't know if you forgot or whatever. And I'll try to do that. But there's some people that even when I do that, they just don't even show up. You have readers that if you miss an appointment, they won't even give you a reschedule. I tried to do that. Of course, it's going to be to my convenience as well, because you did miss your appointment and I have to give priority to those that didn't. But I do try to accommodate, things happen. So if something happens, you can always tell me, hey, something came up and we could reschedule. Like, I'm okay with that. I do allow you to do one reschedule. I don't allow for 2 missed appointments, and it says it on my website, because I was getting up time where people just kept missing appointments. And what people don't understand is when you miss constant appointments, it backs me up with other clients, because now there's a longer wait period because you keep missing your appointments, right? Every time you take an appointment, somebody else could have that time slot. So that's why I allow at least one, because things could happen. I've had to reschedule a reading with clients before, so I'm going to give you that same courtesy, but I'm not chronically doing it. Does that make sense? So yeah. And so I had to set boundaries with that. I had to set boundaries with people calling me between readings. The reason why I don't so the phone number you guys get is actually a business phone number, not a personal phone number. And that cell phone that I use was purchased for my spiritual business. So I need to keep the lines open. Yes, I have co-waiting, but it's still very disruptive when somebody's calling you through and you get that noise letting you know somebody else is trying to call you. It's distracting. I want to focus on the person that I'm doing the reading for. So I don't mind if you want to text message me in between a reading, give me an update on maybe I did some spell work, or hey, do you have availability this week? That doesn't bother me. Business inquiries, updates. But some people just want to just literally talk to you on the phone all day. I cannot do that. This is a spiritual based business and I care about you guys, but I can't be on the phone like that. Same thing with Skype. I've had people just randomly call me on Skype. I'm not going to pick that up. I usually have the busy signal on because I'm in a reading. I literally log on Skype to check messages and to do readings, and then I'll leave and that kind of thing. I don't really, I had to set that boundary because I have over 600 contacts on Skype alone. I have a bunch of contacts on my phone. I can't just allow anybody to call me outside of their appointments. It would just tie everything up. It would be distracting, a whole bunch of missed calls everywhere. And sometimes, Skype can glitch and it'll let the other call go through. It's not supposed to do that, but it does. It's just very distracting, right? So I always tell people on Skype, business inquiries only, if it has something to do with the reading, if you just want to update and things like that. I had to set those boundaries because there's only 24 hours in a day. I can only work for so many hours a day, and I can only attend to my family a certain amount of hours a day. Another thing that I have on my website that I've seen a lot of people, maybe they don't read it or something, I don't know. But I'm not going to say a lot, but some. When it comes to weekends, so Friday, after Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I won't really answer emails until Sunday, maybe Monday. Why? Because I've had to take a day off. And when I say, I'm going to take one day off a week, it never happens because I'm answering people's emails all day. So that's just a lot. So I'm just going to start doing where there's like a set hours of when I would answer people's emails. Another thing is you don't have to message me to let me know you want a reading. Especially like I looked at your website, I want a reading. All you have to do is buy a reading, you get a reading. Everything is there laid out. If you go on the contact form of my website, it explains my reading style, legal disclaimers, all that beautiful stuff. Availabilities in there, time zones in there, Skype emails in there. I mean, it's like a whole story in there. That's there for a reason. Same thing with the first email you get, everything's outlined. It's a long email, but believe me, I write it because it's important, because it saves me time, so I don't have to keep answering the same question. So please take the time to read it. It will save you time. So when we have our reading, you are ready to go. You are ready to go. Yeah, so those are the boundaries that I've been really thinking about. I think I'm going to continue to implement them, because if I have these healthy boundaries, it's going to make me available. It's going to continue to cut down on the wait times when you can actually do your readings. It's going to keep me mentally sane and stable, and give me time to not just do readings and spell work, but dedicate to my family, dedicate to myself. And that's going to make me an all around well reader, right? If I'm good, you guys are good, right? And things like that. So, I've been thinking about that. And I also been thinking about last year, I tried to do the deaf year. Like a lot of people were doing the deaf year, but I wasn't doing it. Like I wasn't happy with all the stuff that I bought in 2019, because I feel 2019 I was buying a little too much stuff. I was okay in 2020, but I didn't like restricting myself from buying decks, because in 2020 a lot of my decks that I used for readings look like crap, and I'm like, well, I have to buy backup decks, right? But then that will break a deaf year. And I'm glad that I didn't do deaf year last year, because I don't think I was doing it for the right reasons, nor was I in the mental space to do it. And then something was telling me not to do it, and then COVID happened, and I was using retail therapy to get through it, and that's always not the best solution, but I'm just being honest with that. So I feel like I'm kind of glad, because then I would have felt like I failed. Also, I felt like I was supposed to stock up on supplies, which I'm glad, because as of recently, two of the distributors that I buy candles from, because I don't only go to the dollar store or the Spanish supermarket, I do also buy stuff as well for my business, and those suppliers are actually no longer exist. They went out of business because of COVID. So I have to look for other suppliers now. So I'm glad that I have a nice healthy amount of candles in my spirit room, so that I can do spell work for clients as need. So my store is nice and supplied for my tools. So I feel like spirit wanted me to buy the stuff last year, because now I'm good. Like I have the decks, because I mean, when COVID first happened, the mailing was horrible. I started buying stuff when it's like right before COVID hit. So I had like the stuff that I needed, and with things here and there. So I kind of did a deaf year without doing a deaf year, because I did stop purchasing for a while because the wait times, and I wanted them to get the stuff out, the essential supplies, so people that needed them and all that good stuff. But I'm glad that I stocked up, because things haven't really been the same for certain things. So, but this year, I was thinking about the deaf year. I'm pretty happy where my collection is. Like when I was trying to move last year, and I ended up realizing that it was more me trying to do it. It wasn't in the right time. Divine timing is a thing. And I feel like if I would have rushed it, it wouldn't have been beneficial nor a blessing for me. So I'm kind of glad that I didn't do it. And that I'm waiting in the right time to do so. Like I'm going to stick to where I'm at right now. Because people keep asking me, oh, did you move to New York? No, I did not. I decided to postpone the move. There we go. But what I do appreciate about that experience is I ended up packing away maybe 80 to 90% of my collection. I can safely say, with the exception of one tarot deck, which was the Hanson Roberts deck, I have not reopened any of those boxes to take any of my decks out. And that was back in September. So October, November, December, January, 4 months ago. And I have since put them in storage. I haven't been tempted to go to the storage, unpack them, on nothing. The decks that I left out, I've added a couple of new ones, which I wouldn't have done if I would have had the collection out the way I had it, because I was lacking space. So I feel like when I finally move, I might be getting rid of a bunch of that stuff. I'm not gonna dig stuff out to sell, whatever. I might do like a huge giveaway or a couple of giveaways or something, or donate them or whatever. But I think most of the ones boxed up are gonna be leaving my collection. So either that, or I'm just gonna put them away for a long time, and maybe in a couple of years I'll be interested. I don't know, but I'm not drawing. I don't miss them at all, for the most part. So with that being said, it made me realize that I do like to work with less things. Less is more. That's how I always been. Nothing wrong with collecting things, but I do prefer to have a working collection. A lot of those decks I wasn't really using. After a while, I used them. They stopped talking to me, whatever. So I'm going to keep those away and see what happens. But for now, I'm happy with what's out. And I've been using them for my client readings and all that beautiful stuff. And I don't feel like I have a wish list. Other than the Golden Rider, that's like the only deck, which I'll probably never get. It's out of print, very expensive. I'm not paying thousands of dollars for a deck. And even at that price, then you don't really see them listed. So, but other than that, there's nothing I want. So, I'm gonna be working on my own Oracle deck, which I said this year that's still in plans. But I don't have anything I actually want to buy. So I was like, I think I want to do something different with my deaf year. So my deaf year isn't because like I'm overspending money. I pay my bills. I'm responsible with money. I do buy decks with the intentions of using them for business, but then I end up not connecting with them sometimes because I'm just like impulse buying, or at least I tell myself that's what I bought it for. But I don't want them, right? And I don't want to buy stuff because I did in 2020 and I ended up not using most of those things. They ended up being boxed up. And the older decks have always been with me, the ones that stood out. So I don't want to really buy decks, right? But it's not because of I just don't want to do that. So, but I want to get something out of the deaf years. So one thing that's been really touching my heart, I remember we did a tag, and they said if you had a supernatural power, what would that be? And I always said I wanted to end world hunger, especially when it comes to children. No child in this world should ever go to bed hungry. And so what I'm going to do, instead of, I'm not saying I'll never buy a deck or whatever, but I set aside every month on a budget, because I do like a monthly budget, that, okay, this is what I usually spend on decks, okay? I'm taking that money, which I already did, and I went and researched a charity that spoke to me and that kind of stuff. I did my research. It has good ratings. I checked it under Watchdog because charities can be fraudulent too. And I'm currently working with an organization that works on kind of ending preventing a child from going hungry. With this organization, this child will be able to go to school. She'll be able to have school supplies and things like that. And so that's what I'm doing. So the money that I usually spend on a Oracle deck or tarot deck here or there, I'm actually going to take that money, which I again started doing this month, and I'm going to donate it to this child, to this organization that I researched. And I feel like that's what I want to do. My deaf year goal is to stop, not stop, but limit my purchasing of these things. And using that money to create change, because I feel like spirituality is also humanitarian. You'll be surprised what $20, $40, $60 can do to a child. How much food that could be in another country, or the difference between a little girl going to school or having to go into the sex trade because she's starving and she wants to feed her family. Sex trafficking of children is real. If that triggers you, I'm sorry, but it's just real facts. And me just buying this stuff right now, I'm just not, there's so much going on. I'm not saying I'm never gonna buy a deck again. Not true. But I'm going to try to limit. So my deaf year is going to be more for pretty much trying to be more charitable. So a certain amount of my proceeds from here on out, when you guys book a reading with me, know that it's also going into helping children in dire situations, because a certain amount of that money is going to be paid forward into a charity. So that will be my deaf year goal. I feel like if I do it that way, I would actually keep to it. It's something to aspire to. I'm still gonna buy, candles as needed if I do need to get a deck because my working deck is unusable, because that happens, and that kind of stuff. Yes. So you're gonna see occasional stuff, but not in the volume that I've been doing from 2019 or 2020. So I wanted to share that with you guys. It's not a big thing. I'm not saying it for accolades. I'm just giving people ideas. This is how the deaf year is going to resonate with me. I want to go deep. I want to see what can I do to help humanity, even outside. I do them in my spiritual services, yes, but I also, like, children are a passion of mine. I just feel like we are stewardess of this world, and it will be something that I will want somebody to do for me. And so I might, do more stuff in the future, but I want to start off realistic here with this, with the work that I'm doing. I want to set realistic goals, and I just can't wait to see where this journey is going to take me, so I'm really excited about it. So I wanted to share that with you guys too. So that's my deaf year this year. I'm going to go within, trying to help and be a stewardess to the world. How can I take, I can curve my spending in certain areas, knowing that it's making an impact in somebody else's life, right? And everything like that. So my mom always raised me like, we struggled growing up, but she was always like, even though we may not have a lot, somebody always has less, right? And so we can all, $1 to a charity, $2, it doesn't matter. So that's what I'm going to personally do. So I'm really excited about that. So much love, much light, much blessings. Thank you so much for listening to this video and listening to my thoughts. I have another video coming up where I'm going to talk about working with angels and how I work with angels. So hopefully you guys are interested in that as well. Much love, much light. Thank you for listening to the Spirit Chat. Bye, guys.